We've got Gary B. Smith, Tobin Smith, Eric Bowling, along with Stefan Fitch. He is managing editor of Fitch Inc. and Democratic consultant Regina Calcaterra. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Eric, do what Reagan did and just fire him.
What the Gipper did, boy, no question about what he did. Here's what's happening. Right now, the teachers, when they walk out, they're breaking the law. Give them a chance. Say, you know what? Get back to work. Go to work. Don't break the law. If they continue to break the law, fire them all, pull their benefits, the pensions, the health care. And guess what? All those students you see in the crowd right there, see how they like it when they're in summer school all summer long. Maybe they have a change of heart. Fire them. Get rid of them. Bye-bye.
Regina, you don't think so at all, do you? You think this is actually teaching the students something?
Well, first, there's two things. I do strongly believe that Governor Walker brought this on himself by trying to get this bill in and shove it in and not bring unions to the table to try to negotiate. A budget process is very challenging for every single state that they have to go through, even on the national level. But you have to sit down and you have to try to get labor concessions that way, not trying to put a bill in that takes the way of the right of unions. So he left the unions with only one thing to do. They're going to have no more rights, so they're protesting. So they have a right to protest. They have a right for freedom of assembly. And what they're doing does not rise to the level of what the air traffic controllers did in 1981. There were 13,000 air traffic controllers that went on strike in 1981 and put the nation at peril.
Okay.
These teachers and these public sector workers are not putting us at peril.
Okay, so they're not that important, but the truth is they are breaking the law. And I'll say another thing, Gary B. If you or I did something like this, what would our boss do?
Well, you'd be out on your keister, Brenda. And I tell you what, I think I agree with Eric. I think they should be fired at this point. Look, you have a governor here who is just trying to make the state whole. And he's doing it he's not really punishing these workers. He's just trying to get them back to what the private sector is doing as far as, paying in for, health care and stuff like that. And here's an important fact. Lest anyone gets out the violin and says, oh, my gosh, the poor school teachers, we need to do everything we can. Do you know the average teacher compensation in Milwaukee is $100,000 right there?
Gary B, that is completely different than what I saw. I saw that the average teacher compensation was like $56,000, so you're doubling it.
I said compensation, including benefits.
Well, that's benefits. Okay, Toby.
Well, in the private sector, we have to sort of apply the same rules for everybody. Somehow we came up with this idea that if the economics don't work in the state, well, we'll just borrow some more money. If this was a real business, if this was a real company, we would have to have the cost equal the benefit. Either capacity would have to go up or the business would fail. We're in a failing business here. To say that this is illegal is to say that who has the right? It's all the teachers? No, it's the taxpayers of Wisconsin. They have the right to do this. And you know what? If you did fire them, there'd be about 15,000 people on their way to Wisconsin right now for a job.
Stefan, should they be fired?
No, I mean, Toby makes a great point, but you got all kinds of practical problems here. This is not a single, workforce. It's not just teachers, the little old ladies who work at the DMV, the guys who mop the floors in the Congress or whatever. Hey, listen, this is a vast, vast workforce. You can't just kind of fire them all. I agree. Listen, I've written passionately about the problems that Wisconsin and other states are facing, but firing them all is not going to solve anything. You got to negotiate, and you just run into all kinds of practical problems here.
That's where I agree with Stefan, is because the Governor Walker failed to negotiate.
Okay,
He's trying
hold
to shove this bill down his throat to bring him to the table and ask him for concessions.
Eric, everybody said that Ronald Reagan couldn't fire the air traffic controllers either.
Yeah, and not only that, he did that, but here's what would the end result of firing these teachers would be. Everyone in Ohio right now is thinking about lining up on the Capitol, or in Michigan, or in New Jersey, or in New York, would say, maybe, it didn't work out so well for them. Maybe we really shouldn't, and maybe we should get back to the table and start making some concessions like
Eric, you're
Eric, to make the comparison between these teachers and the air traffic controllers is incorrect, because these 13,000 air traffic controllers went on strike for 2 days that put our nation at peril. So Reagan invoked a provision of federal law that said that public employees can't go on strike if they're federal employees, especially if they put the nation at peril. You're not having this situation where the nation's being put at peril for these teachers. They've only been protesting for a few days.
If that happens to me, I gotta stay home. And you're saying basically that the teachers are not that important. Toby?
what she's
No,
saying is
I'm
that
saying is
that
they're
they
not
have no
putting our
power.
nation at peril that you're going to fire them. They have a right to protest.
Reagan understood. Forget the protesting for a second, even though they're getting paid to protest, which is sort of weird. The concept here is a bigger idea, which is do the taxpayers have control of the people that their money is hiring, or is the union so in control that they're bulletproof, and they are not bulletproof, and we make it sound like they are not. And firing, that's the sort of collateral damage.
But Toby, he would be jumping to the final conclusion. Governor Walker never sat down, never negotiated. He's asked for concessions on health benefits and pension benefits.
They've given him benefit raises over the last 15 years.
He's shoving it down his throat, and then he's taking away their right to collectively bargain as well.
Stefan, what about that issue? That basically these are cash-strapped states. They got to do something. Should they be negotiating more?
Hey, look, the issues couldn't be more important, and absolutely, you've got to go and negotiate. And yeah, sure, some people should be fired, but here's the fact of the matter, okay? This is a group of people. People have the right to negotiate collectively. They have a right to form unions. I don't like the fact that teachers' unions, you got the principals and the teachers, the senior management are part of the unions as well. I got my beef with the public employee sector unions, but they do have a right to exist, and we got to negotiate with them. By the way, the only way you'll discharge these problems is through negotiated solutions. You got to negotiate to get to the end point and raise taxes.
Gary B.
Well, what is the history of negotiation with these unions? It didn't work for the auto companies. It hasn't worked in the public sector forever. You have a bunch of teachers now who are painting pictures of make the governor look like Hitler. Is that the kind of group that really you think is open to negotiation?
And the negotiation.
Well, this governor's only been in office for 6 weeks, and he hasn't even taken the opportunity to sit down and negotiate with them. He tried to sneak this bill in during the week, try to get the Republicans to vote on board to it, and he never really sat down and negotiated it.
Yeah, who's really doing the sneaking here?
Yeah. This is a line in the sand issue, and as opposed to wasting another $10 billion or $10 million of fees and legal fees, etc., the governor very smartly sort of called the question and said, guess what? It's not affordable. We've heard all your arguments that are not affordable, and it's going to be this way or the highway. And by the way, I'm the governor, and that's how it's going to be. I give him a hand.
Okay, Stefan, you have 10 seconds.
You know, the problem with the governor is he's fundamentally dishonest. I agree with some of what you're saying, but if he were honest, he'd also say, guess what? We made promises we haven't paid for. We're going to have to raise some taxes to deal with it.
Okay, looking for an honest politician. There we go. Okay, thanks, everyone.